Warning! This program contains irrefutable facts, unapologetically biased opinions, and shameless homerism for the Southeastern Conference and its teams. Misguided fans of other leagues and teams may find some of the information in this broadcast to be disillusioning, deflating, or even offensive. You've been warned. Kip, Terry, Tony, Legend, Case, and our special guests, we own the airwaves. Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. on Jocks 94.5. It's game time. Saturdays, 10:30, ABC 3340 television. Get ready for the SEC on ABC and get in the starting lineup. And on Sundays, 9 a.m. on Jocks, it is Kip and Terry after a great day of football. The morning after. Football weekend. Total information domination.
Welcome to the fantastic edition of the starting lineup.
Opening day, baby.
Yes, week number 1, week 0 is in the books. We had 17 games on Thursday, a whole host of games, of course, coming up on this Saturday, including the game right after
Missouri and Auburn already underway. Now we're going to see everybody else come out today.
There you go. We got the Notre Dame-Miami game, Clemson, LSU, Ohio State, Texas, the 1 versus 3. Right after this show today, we have Syracuse and Tennessee. We have our big volunteer fan here, Kai Gregory, who, by the way, last year at one point went 9-0 on this show. You can go back and watch it, 9-0 on the show. He gets 7 games, would hit all 7. Then he gave us 2 other plays that he just wanted to play.
Yeah, we have a legend. He became a second legend on that program.
And also part, of course, of K4 Wins, K4Wins.com, and Southern Precision Staffing, 205-682-2828. Before we get into our plays, tell everybody about what you do at Southern Precision Staffing.
Well, we are a skilled trade solutions company. We're not a day labor company. We work exclusively with construction companies to help them staff. We generally stick within the MEP, which is mechanical, electrical, piping, plumbing, those kind of things. So we work with a lot of the biggest and smallest contractors, subcontractors in Birmingham, the state of Alabama. But like you always say, we do serve, all of America. We are concentrated in Alabama and in the Southeast. And we do, like I said, piping, welding, fitting, sheet metal, plumbing, all of that. We've got quite a few projects going on here.
I don't know how to do any of those things.
You need to get Southern Precision Staffing.
I'm not a good prospect for employment.
No doubt. 205-682-2828, where your word and your handshake still means something. Check it out. And a pretty doggone good handicapper as well. Happy week 1 to both you gentlemen. I know this is just something we've been waiting for a long period of time. We got a brand new segment we're going to be doing where we've been given $150 and I guess play money. We can do 1 bet, 2 bets, 3 bets, or a 3-team parlay. We're going to see who's got the biggest portfolio at the end of the season, and that person's going to get a handshake and probably a nice big fat steak.
Absolutely.
In the pockets of the other 2 gentlemen. So we'll have that. And of course, every guest we have on, and we've had guests on every single week. We had James Spann on last week. Damon Johnson's coming up. Taylor Hicks, you name it. All the big guests. All those guests are picking, and we're going to put all those guesses together, if you will, and we'll see who wins out of all those folks as well. So
and Kai only joins us periodically, but we'll get Kai's bankroll pick every week, and he'll be on the tote board all season long.
The door is always here, open for you. Tell everybody about Kai at K4 Wins real quick, where we're at. We do this little thing where it's Case, Kip, Kai, and Curry, the 4 Ks, and we do some handicapping. We've been on fire.
Yeah, K4 Wins has been rocking along. 3-0-1 yesterday,
nice.
Just on that day. 22-9-1 last week. 67%.
Not bad.
71-36 last month, and overall year to date we're 7-21. 369-6. So
wow,
pretty strong.
Pretty good stuff. Talk about your Tennessee Volunteers. I know most people around these parts.
They're coming up next year on ABC.
Don't really give you a rip about the Tennessee Volunteers around these parts, but I know you're a big Vol fan, and you actually have one of your biggest bets of the year is the under 8.5 wins. Why would that be, Mr. Kai Gregory?
There's not the locker room is just not what it should be, in my opinion. I'm not sure how Aguilar is going to do. Led the nation in interceptions last year, my 2 biggest future bets were Alabama over 9.5. I know the man, the myth, the legend is going to like that. Mm-hmm. And then my second largest bet on that is Tennessee under 8.5 wins. I think they get to 8. I don't think they get to 9, and I think it's going to be the last game of the season to try to get the 8th win.
Well, we talked about that. We're going to have it later on today. Texas, Ohio State, 2 quarterbacks we really don't know anything about. Julian Saying, of course, Manning, who we obviously know the name, but we've never seen him throw a pass. This year has been so strange. When you talk about quarterbacks, we got that big Notre Dame coming up where we have two different quarterbacks again. And then, of course, that Clemson game where you have two quarterbacks that everybody knows about. Just talk about the quarterback play at Tennessee and how strange it is this year in the SEC, because we don't know who's throwing the football for anybody.
It really is. And I think if it wasn't for the NIL deal that Aguilar got, I really think Jake Mergenser would have been the starting quarterback. And you may see him anyway. I really love the fact of what Peyton Bishop has done and the weight he's put on. But Tennessee lost a ton on the offensive line. They do have 2 5-stars, the LSU transfer and then a freshman coming in. So maybe that gels. I just don't know that it gels early on. Because we've already posted it at K4. We'll throw it out there for people. Loving Syracuse plus 14.5 in that game. Okay, I think Tennessee wins. Yeah. I don't think they cover.
Okay.
This is a 10-win team from Syracuse, and former Kirby Smart assistant Fran Brown at the controls got a lot of votes for Coach of the Year last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a.
Ask Miami about Syracuse. They knocked them completely out of the playoffs.
They certainly did. And, we've talked about a lot of different teams in the SEC. Oklahoma is one of those teams. I think they certainly were made fun of early in the season last year, but they came back to bite a couple of people, and I don't think Tennessee wants to be put in that boat. The Auburn Tigers, your thoughts on them? Of course, they got Baylor in the first game of the year, but everyone's saying this could be it for Hugh Freeze if he doesn't go make to a bowl game. It's pretty bad when you have to go to a bowl game. That should be good enough if you're an Auburn fan, right, Kip?
Yeah, I mean, if that's the goal, make a bowl game, that means you can be 6-6. I don't think Auburn Nation's going to settle for that.
Yeah, is that good enough for the Auburn Tigers, guy?
It may have to be. I think they may can get to 7, but they've got a difficult schedule. I mean, starting out with what we saw with Baylor yesterday.
All right, we're going to have your 3 plays. Do we want to get his 3 plays now, or as part of our little portfolio, since he's sitting here on the couch, get his 3 plays there, Kip?
Well, we're going to go to the other night at Soho Social. We had a gathering, and we had 3 guest pickers give their best bet of the week. We're going to find out what those are, and then we're going to Las Vegas for our new segment, Case Keefer, book it or bet it.
Yeah.
Is he going to put it in, or is he going to sit on it? We'll find out. Let's go to the guest handicappers at the Soho Social Party. I'm here with the unofficial mayor of Birmingham, Don Mitchell. He's going to give us our best bet on our first segment ever of Book It or Bet It. Don, who you got this weekend?
Let's go to Tulane Stadium and pick the Tulane Green Wave, minus 5.5 over Northwestern from good old Chicago.
This week we got the famous PG Pelham Gator of the Florida Gators. Florida Gator, Mr. PG, who you got this week?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to upset y'all. I've got the major Florida State upsetting the BAMs, and what can I say, 34-28.
Y'all did not hear that, ladies and gentlemen. We going to the next segment right now. Right now with Book It or Bet It, I am here with the famous man himself from Notre Dame, Mr. Golden Domer. Who you like? Who's your favorite pick this week, brother?
Look, Legend, we're going to make it short and sweet. We're going prime time. Catholics versus convicts. We got some weather coming in. Hit the under. 23-17, Golden Domers. Book it, baby.
You heard it from the Golden Domer himself, ladies and gentlemen. Back now to the show.
All right, here we go with the first ever edition of Book It or Bet It, where each week you can try to beat me, Case Keefer, assistant sports editor, longtime sports bettor and sports betting writer for Greenspun Media Group, which includes Las Vegas Sun and Las Vegas Weekly. You give me your plays each week. I will either decide to join you or go against you. We'll see how it all turns out. And the first one I ever got, this is the toughest one of the week. Don sends Northwestern going to Tulane. He's taking the Green Wave as a 5.5-point favorite. And first things first, I have to give Don a lot of credit. He got the best number in the market. Right now it's split a lot between 5.5 and 6. He wanted Tulane, so he made sure to get that 5.5. So important. Every half point matters, especially in a line like this that was as high as 7.5 earlier in the summer. I'm really conflicted on what to do in this game. I haven't bet it myself. My numbers say Tulane, but my intuition, my football sense says Northwestern. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, sloppy game. I'm not all aboard the Tulane hype. I think they're going to have problems offensively. Shows me when you take a quarterback like Jake Retzlaff so late in the process that you're not exactly confident with what you have offensively. I do love Coach John Summerall, but I think Northwestern's coach David Braun is super sharp, underrated as well. What he did 2 years ago there was absolutely amazing. So I think I'm slightly leaning towards Northwestern. I hate having to only take the plus 5.5. If this was like Tulane minus 7, I would be jumping to book it. But plus 5.5, hey, I came up with this concept. I got to gamble sometimes. I'm going to book it. I will line up separate of you. I'll take Northwestern plus 5.5. Don has it. Tulane minus 5.5. Next one, Pelham Gator. This was way easier for me. Florida State plus 13.5. Pelham Gator either doesn't watch the show or just really wants my action, because I have been raving about Alabama all offseason, including in this game a couple weeks ago. I mentioned that I make this game north of -17. I trust my numbers. I still think it is going to move in that direction. So if I can get -13.5, that is an easy lay for me. Personally, I bet it at 12.5. A couple weeks ago. So not as good as the number I have, but I love Alabama at -13.5 here. A little bit worried about the quarterback. Not sure what we're going to get out of Ty Simpson, but I think Alabama literally has a gigantic advantage everywhere else on the field. Alabama -13.5. Book it for me. Last one, I'm going to have to be on the side of someone. So for the final one for Golden Domer, I am going to bet it with Golden Domer. He went under 49.5 in Notre Dame, in Miami, which is a game I'm super looking forward to. Maybe the best game of the week, in my opinion. I will say we're not getting the best of the number here. It was as high as 54.5 earlier in the summer, but a lot of people are liking under, and I get it. If there's anything I'm worried about with Miami, it's these receivers. I'm not really worried about Carson Beck, but I just want to know who he's going to be throwing to. If there's anything I'm worried about with Notre Dame, it's the quarterback. The reports about C.J. Carr at a training camp just don't sound great. So I really do think this might be a grinding, ugly game. Again, I hate getting the 49.5 when there still are some books with some 50. If we could have gotten 54.5 earlier in the summer, but I still lean more under to over here. So I'm going to go with my guy Golden Domer on the under 49.5, and I'm going against Pelham Gator and Don Don. Let's see how week one turns out. We'll be back after this break.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino turns dreams into reality. Like Roger M., who just won over $51,000. And Rebecca, celebrating a life-changing jackpot of $160,000. You could be the next to dance the Icky Shuffle with a big win.
Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! And you can be a winner too!
Don't miss your chance to be our next big winner at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
Hi, this is Terry Quillian, and I am so excited to be with you for this season on the starting lineup with my good friends Kip Keefer, Tony Curry, and of course, the legend. Today in the Coach's Corner, we have one of Legend's favorites. We have Pete Golding. And interestingly, Pete Golding is not in the Coach's Corner for anything he's doing at Ole Miss as the defensive coordinator. Even the fact that he's being paid a ridiculously high salary at Ole Miss is not the reason that he is in the Coach's Corner. Pete Golding is in the Coach's Corner because of something that came out this week in a book by ESPN's Seth Wickersham. And this has set the sporting internet on fire, interestingly. So in this book, Seth asserts that there was a Zoom call way back in 2022 during the recruitment of Arch Manning between Pete Golding and Arch's high school coach was also on that call. And during that call, at some point, supposedly what Pete said to Arch was, "Hey, I love Steve Sarkisian. He's my best friend, and he's a great coach as long as he can stay sober." What? Are you kidding me? Okay, this was said in 2022. Steve Sarkisian was terminated from USC for very well-known alcohol problems all the way back in 2015, and it had no issues since then. His rehab had been something very public and something that Steve Sarkisian had spoken about. So after this Zoom call, the high school coach for Arch Manning calls up Golding and says, "Hey man, why did you say that? That was really oomphed up." To which Golding responded, "Well, Daddy is really on me about this and wanted me to do it." Okay, now we have Pete Golding calling Nick Saban Daddy and asserting that the reason he made this very ugly statement was because Nick Saban had pushed him or told him to do that. Okay, Pete. First of all, I have to say, Pete, if this is what you say about your best friend, I really don't think I'd want to be friends with you. My goodness. But secondly, then, to blame it on your boss and say that Daddy told me to say this? Oh, come on, Pete. You're a grown man making lots of money back when I was in my early 20s and not making lots of money and did not have savings in a nest egg. I remember one boss that I had asked me to do something that I thought was not appropriate. And I thought about it and responded by telling him politely that I respected him, wanted to do a really good job, but this was just not something that I was comfortable doing. And you're telling me that a grown man who is the defensive coordinator for the University of Alabama isn't capable of doing that? If that's true, Pete, that's really sad. Even worse to me was Pete calling Nick Saban daddy. Now, if you want to recall, Pete Golding is the last person in the world who should be making comments about daddy, given that back during his tenure as Alabama defensive coordinator, when our very own legend was criticizing him, Pete Golding's very own daddy called up the Paul Feinbaum show to say that he was threatening to kill legend over what he had said about his son. So really, Pete, are you the guy that wants to be talking about daddy here? I don't think so. Let's get down to the reality of this, though. This would not be a story if it was just about Pete Golding. Really? Who cares what a defensive coordinator said to a potential recruit in a Zoom call? It's a story because of the assertion that somehow Nick Saban was behind this. That's what's made it a story. Tell you what, Nick Saban's not going to come out and say anything about this because this is ridiculous. This is the ultimate tempest in a teapot. Grow up, people. It's Division I football. Recruiting is vicious these days. I'm not supporting what Pete Golding did by any stretch of the imagination, but I am going to tell you I think this is only a story because we are still at the very end of talking season and the games have yet to begin. Once we start playing football, this is not going to be a story. And that's it from me today.
Oh, it's opening week, baby. Florida State, game one. It don't get no bigger than this. Bears in the house. You just heard from the great Keefer and Tony Curry here on the starting lineup. We are pumped up and ready to go. It's the most wonderful time of the year, baby. We go down to Florida State today to play Thomas Castellano, and he's been running them guns, talking about what he's going to do to the Alabama Crimson Tide. Well, let me tell you something, Thomas Castellano. There is a red wave coming at you today, baby. Oh, I'm spitting them jumping, baby. It's football season. Are you excited? I am. Oh, baby, I could get in the game today. But Thomas Castellano, run that mouth. And I'm spitting, that's a good sign. Said he's going to take us down, that Nick Saban wasn't there no more. But Alabama comes in today a 13.5-point favorite. And even though we got Jam Miller out, even though we got Tim Keenan out, I feel like Alabama will take this game and win it by at least 3 touchdowns. We'll see Ty Simpson come of age today, baby. Come of age today, baby. I'm talking about Ty. I'm spitting Ty. I'm excited. Week one. This is what we live for, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we go to work for. Come home, feed our families, so we can sit before the TV today and see the greatest university. I'm talking the Alabama Crimson Tide. It's here, ladies and gentlemen. The season's here, Bear. My prediction for the day, Alabama 38, Florida State 13. We take Thomas Castellano and put him in a headlock, one of them Ric Flair headlocks, and put that Dusty Rhodes fist on him. We taking him down. Get real. Get excited. Season is here. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. The season is here. Week one. Finally, we made it, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, it's just a game. Don't be like legend. 8 psychiatrists done said, I'm sports insane.
T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. We have liftoff of Season 9 of The Morning After. Terry Quillian and Kip Keefer at the controls, delivering a payload of unlimited, invaluable information and entertainment, pinpoint analysis, and unique perspective unavailable anywhere else in the universe. A supersonic show in an orbit all of its own. If you love college football and fun, get on board.
Boldly going where no football show has gone before.
Hipster, are we there yet?
On our way, Ter. Definitely on our way.
All right, here we go with another Vegas Heaters. I'm Case Keefer, and hopefully you were reading my column on Las Vegas Sun last week where I pick every game against the spread and throw in a bonus total. A 4-2 start to the year. We'll take it. Unfortunately, not as good in this Vegas Heater segment. Just 1-2. UNLV no-shows for us. I really thought Kansas State was the better team in the Iowa State game in Dublin, but Iowa State made the plays when it mattered. Kansas State didn't, so lost those two, but did hit on the over I gave out in Sam Houston and Western Kentucky. So forward we go. A lot of this segment's going to be our new bankroll challenge. I have 3 plays for that coming up, but first, you know I'm a big futures guy, so I thought I would throw out some futures I bet at the last minute going into the season. There are 2 teams that once I circled back around and really looked at everything, really stood out to me as values right now, so I'm going to give them out to you right now. That would be the Miami Hurricanes and the Oklahoma Sooners. I just think both of these teams are too far along shots. I kind of completed my national championship portfolio going into the season with those two. I took Oklahoma at 55-1, Miami at 50-1. Now, do I ultimately think these are going to be the national champions? No, but the way I do this, I like to build a portfolio. I'm not one of these guys that likes to just take a gamble with one long shot, try to get the big pad at the end of the year. I'm trying to pick out prices and build the best I can to where I can fit in other people. And I just thought this was too high. I think the ACC is wide open for Miami. An easier way to back them if you want to. I love them to win the ACC at plus 450. That would be the bet I gave out there. And Oklahoma, I think they have such an easy start to the schedule. I really think they're going to be 5-0 going into that Texas game in Week 6. And if they are in that Week 6 game, imagine if they beat them, John Mateer versus Arch Manning. Suddenly, John Mateer is going to be the talk of college football, the Heisman favorite. So the way I like to bet Oklahoma the best, I took John Mateer to win the Heisman 25-1. Those are a couple of the futures I bet right going into the season. But now let's go into our bankroll contest where we have some different scenarios of the way we can do this. We can play a parlay. We can put all the money on one pick or make 3 picks. God, I'm not going to go into all that I thought about, but I really gave this a lot of thought of how I wanted to undergo it. I'm going to end up going safe in week 1, kind of see how things play out. So I'm going to give you 3 picks. This way I can talk about more games too. I'm going to try to go a little bit off the board, not the main games. I'm sure the other guys will talk about them a lot and have you covered in that regard. However, that being said, let's start with an SEC game for my first $50 bet in our fictional bankroll. Kentucky versus Toledo. Now, I don't like Kentucky at all in the SEC this year. I think maybe they go winless. I love Toledo in the MAC. I think they probably win the MAC. But the discrepancy between the MAC and the SEC has never been larger. That's just how college football is trending these days between the great conferences and the also-ran conferences. And I really love betting on coaches that need that big result, need to stir some excitement going into the year in week 1. So Kentucky -8. I make this closer to like 13, and it was there earlier in the summer. It's trending back up now. I actually bet it at 7.5. It looked like it was going to get to 7, didn't quite get there, but I'm going to lay it with Kentucky -8 for my first play. My second play, we're going to go to an underdog for this one. Virginia had a lot of hype a couple months ago. They spent a lot of money in NIL. It's another make or break year for another coach there in Tony Elliott. I'm leaning towards it's going to be more break because they don't really have depth. They gave all these big prospects a lot of money, and so many of them went hurt. Every day in training camp, it seemed like another guy was falling apart. Coastal Carolina, I'm very worried about their defense, but offensively, they should have something. They have some names you notice from Power Conference programs that came into there. MJ Morris going to be starting at quarterback. So give me plus 12.5 with Coastal Carolina for my second bet. The final play, I hate having to make this because one of my favorite players in college football this year is Micah Alahado, the Hawaii quarterback who you saw come back and beat Stanford on one leg last week. However, I think Stanford is the worst Power Conference program this year. I think they are terrible, and Hawaii still barely snuck past them. I do not think Alahado is playing this week. I know they're saying he's going to suit out, feel it out, but he has a high ankle sprain, can barely walk. I think this is a smash spot for Arizona, who Hawaii always struggles going to the mainland, going on the road as well. Alahado played his high school ball right down the road here in Bishop Gorman, one of the best high school quarterbacks I have ever seen. I am bullish on Hawaii long term, but this week I think he needs to recover. He won't play. So Arizona -17, my final pick to go with Coastal Carolina, plus 12.5, and Kentucky -8 for our bankroll predictions. Let's see what the rest of the guys have.
The 4 horsemen up here, baby, the starting lineup. Now we need our teams that we're going to be using our $150 allotment to make bets on. You can bet on 1, 2, or 3 games, even a 3-team parlay. We'll start with Kai Gregory, Southern Precision Staffing, on one play.
Starting lineup bankroll. Take it away.
The wad is going out. Who you got?
I got all of it on Syracuse plus 14.5.
Oh, man, he's putting all 150 on the Orangeman.
All right, Kip Keefer, what you got?
I'm on board there, too. I'm going to play 3 $50 bets. Syracuse plus the 14.5. I'm going with Toledo plus 9.5 against Kentucky. I think it's going to be a long year in Lexington. And my best bet of the week is Southern Mississippi, who's really wearing black and gold. This is Marshall, the coach, and 42 transfers from the championship Marshall team of a year ago are at Southern Miss, and they're getting 12.5 against morbid Mississippi State at home in Hattiesburg.
I like a legend.
Well, the Legend brothers have been up all night calculating. We've been figuring, and David Legend and Gary Legend at the last second putting all 150 on Archman. I got Archmania, baby. Archmania plus the 2 points, all 150 on Arch.
Wow.
I got 3 plays, $50 each. North Carolina, the little Belichick thing starts. I'm not buying into it. I'm taking TCU minus the 3.5. There's only 6 guys come back for North Carolina. Last year, they won 3, lost 4, won 3, lost 3. Now they're going to lose their 4th game. TCU's got 12 guys back. They won 9 games last year. I'll give up the 3 in the hook. South Carolina, my Gamecocks. It's Beamer time, baby.
Sticking with it.
I'm in. Kyron Drones, the Virginia Tech quarterback, ain't worth a rip. They lost all 5 of their starters in the line. South Carolina's got a lot coming back. Lenore Sellers has only played 5 games, but I think he's going to be fantastic. 18 touchdowns, 7 picks last year. I'll give him 7 in the hook. Give out South Carolina the game, Hawks, and those Miami Hurricanes. I'm going to play them plus 2.5. It's Beck versus CJ Carr. Both lines for both the Miami and Notre Dame are unbelievable. I'm going against Coach Free. I'm going to take Miami plus the 2.5. Those are my 3 plays.
Wow. His son goes to Clemson, and he's all over South Carolina. It's some kind of psychological
I am not going to jinx. I'm not the schlep rock, my Clemson Tigers.
Love Clemson, love Texas, love Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I think Miami loses. Arch Madness.
Arch Madness.
I asked ChatGPT last night to pick those games. They went with the favorite in all 3. So don't depend on AI. They're chalk eaters.
Tell them to go against the spread next time. See what they say.
Well, this has been fun, guys. We'll see how it goes. We'll have the tote board every week and keep track. Tony, wrap us up.
This is the starting lineup again next week, 10:30, 11 o'clock. The best way to kick off your football Saturdays is right here at ABC 3340 with the starting lineup.
You've been warned. Kip, Terry, Tony, Legend, Case, and our special guests, we own the airwaves. Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. on Jocks 94.5. It's game time. Saturdays, 10:30, ABC 3340 television. Get ready for the SEC on ABC and get in the starting lineup. And on Sundays, 9 a.m. on Jocks, it is Kip and Terry after a great day of football, the morning after. Football weekend. Total information domination.
T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. We have liftoff of Season 9 of The Morning After. Terry Quillian and Kip Keefer at the controls, delivering a payload of unlimited, invaluable information and entertainment, pinpoint analysis, and unique perspective unavailable anywhere else in the universe. A supersonic show in an orbit all of its own. If you love college football and fun, get on board.
Boldly going where no football show has gone before.
Hipster, are we there yet?
On our way, Ter. Definitely on our way.
We've really got a lineup this year and a group of stars that's going to take it to the next level.
I'm Terry Quillian, and I'll be in the starting lineup every Saturday morning with my hot take of the week.
I'm the Legend from the Paul Feinbaum Show, and I'm in the starting lineup.
I guess I'm Case Keefer, and I'm part of the starting lineup. Make sure to check out my college picks each week on all of our starting lineup programs.
So make sure each week you're in the starting lineup.
The starting lineup, 10:30 to 11 on ABC 3340.